Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we'll be getting some free stuff in the Into the Future event. This event is 100% free. You get 1000 mastery experience just by joining, so even if you don't intend to play the event at all, make sure to just hop in and click that join button to get a little boost on your mastery pass. And if you like getting some free cards, they are going to be alchemy cards, but they're free cards nonetheless. Just by getting 3 wins in this event, you are going to get 3 extra packs of Dominaria United Alchemy, and it's a pre-constructed deck event, meaning you don't even have to build an alchemy deck or anything for it. You just get to use some of these decks that they've already given us here. So pretty cool event. They do this pretty much every time they add more alchemy cards to Arena. They just give everybody like 6 free packs of alchemy. You get 3 free packs from this event as well as 1000 experience, and there is a code to get 3 more packs of alchemy. If you have not used that code yet, it is play DMUA in the store tab. So again, go to the redeem code menu on the store tab and type in PLAYDMUA. That will give you 3 more packs of Dominaria United Alchemy. So with that out of the way, let's start getting our bonus free packs here. I'm going to be trying to get a win with every single deck to show them all off today, which means that I'm going to go a little overkill. I'm going to get 4 wins instead of the 3 needed, but I want to try each deck so you all have an idea of what deck you might want to use in the event if you haven't played it yet. There's a domain-based deck, a dragons deck, a vehicles deck, and a goblins deck. For the domain deck, it is going to be much like a domain draft deck. It's going to be green-based here at the core, so that the green gives us ways to pull out other basic land types with cards like Dig Up, searching for any basic land, Settle the Wilds, seeking out a random basic land, and Herd Migration, with the discard ability, searching out any basic land of our choice. So all of these ways to try to up that domain, pulling out whatever land type we don't have yet. There is at least one of each basic land type. There's of course a ton of triomes, because they have 3 basic land types apiece to really up that domain. And then there are the classic domain payoffs like Herd Migration, making a bunch of 3/3s, Leyline Binding being really cheap with good domain, and Shobu Brawler being very powerful with a lot of domain. And then for the alchemy cards this deck is going to be showing off, we have Wandering Treefolk, which is a really nice mana sink and card draw engine, especially in a domain strategy, because for 1 green and 7 additional mana, so 8 mana, you get to draw a random creature from your deck. That is what the Seek ability is doing. But it costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. So if you have 5 basic land types, the maximum, then this ability only costs 3 mana. So 3 mana to draw a random creature from your deck. And you can do that multiple times in one turn if you have 6 or more mana. And you can do it at instant speed if you're trying to hold up interaction like a instant speed Infernal Grasp or Wandering Emperor or something like that. So Wandering Treefolk's been really nice in draft. I think it'll play pretty well in here as well. And then Nantuko Slicer, another great alchemy card that played quite well in draft. This is a 4 mana 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, return a card from your graveyard to your hand. So already an Eternal Witness style effect, a creature with a regrowth attached for good graveyard recursion. And if you kick this card, if you spend 5 mana, including 1 black mana, you also basically return a card from your opponent's graveyard to your hand, which is really interesting, really fun, and is quite powerful, because then you're spending 5 mana to get a 3/2 body on the board, the best card in your graveyard in your hand, and the best card in your opponent's graveyard into your hand. So that is a 3-for-1 effect there. So Nantuko Slicer seems like a pretty great one. So we're going to start off with the Domain Domination deck and see how it does. Here we are in game 1 with the Domain Domination deck. Unfortunately, this is a mulligan. As we said before, this is pretty much a green-based domain strategy, meaning you kind of have to mulligan any hand that doesn't have green in the opening hand, especially when every card in the hand is green. Now we do have green thanks to Spara's Headquarters. We also have great ways to get any color of mana that we're missing. So we're going to have to keep this one. I'm actually going to get rid of one of these basic lands, because with 2 Dig Up and Settle the Wilds, I essentially have 6 lands in this hand, because all these cards are tutoring another land from the deck. So I'm going to get rid of the island. It's redundant with Spara's Headquarters, as that is green, blue, and white. So our opponent is also on the domain strategy, I believe, or they could be on the dragon strategy. I haven't looked through every deck list. I've only looked through the one that I'm playing right now, but the dragons deck is green, red, black, so it could be that. All right, if they played Sulphur Springs, they are definitely on the dragons deck. I guess the sleeves are what tell you for sure they do have dragon sleeves over there. Okay, so I could play a brawler this turn or a dig up. I think I just want to play a brawler here because it's already a 4-3 trample. So we can really put some pressure on our opponent's life total and try to keep up with their dragons, which is going to be hard to do since they did get a turn 2 Fearsome Whelp, making their dragons cost 1 mana less every turn this Whelp's on the battlefield. Which means if this Whelp sticks on the board for 2 turns, all of a sudden all their 6 mana dragons, they only cost 4 mana next turn, which is pretty nasty. Get a lot of cost reduction off that. Lucky for us, our opponent is stuck on 2 mana at least, but again, that Fearsome Whelp can do some very good work to make up for that with some mana reduction. So weirdly enough, rather than getting the mountain here to have all of the land types, I'm just going to grab a forest so I can slam down another Neshoba Brawler and try to close out this game very quickly while my opponent is stuck on mana. This way I have 8 damage on board next turn, and 10 if I dig up for the mountain, which is probably what I'm going to do, because I can afford to dig up for a mountain, play that as land per turn to guarantee that I have the red source, and still cast Settle the Wilds after that to get a random land as well. So let's get the mountain pre-combat, and then maybe we'll play Green Widow if one of our creatures dies here, and we want to make sure we still have a lot of threats, but if not, we might go Settle, just to get closer to casting Herd Migration. So attack for 10 here. They're going to take the 10. Yeah, opponent at 6 life. This is another trampler. I'm actually more interested in just putting more damage on this board, making it less likely our opponent can survive another attack. Darrygaz for only 3 mana thanks to that Fearsome Whelp. That's a pretty big one. I don't actually know what it does. Apparently not enough. It is one of the brand new alchemy cards. We'll view the battlefield real quick before we leave this game. At the beginning of your end step, conjure a random card from its spellbook into exile, face down with 3 egg counters on it. Gains at the beginning of your upkeep. If this is exiled, remove an egg counter from it. Then if it has no egg counters, put it on the battlefield. That's a very fun one. That's a really cool one for like Historic Brawl. That'd be a cool one for Commander as well. A lot of the alchemy cards this time around feel like things that aren't that impossible to do in paper Magic, you know? Like this card feels like it could just exist in paper, and you could build a commander deck around this, and you would just have to let all of anybody building a deck with this card, let them have like a 15 card sideboard or something. Or 13 cards, I guess, is how big the spellbook is. And then they just get to make any 13 dragons their Darrygaz spellbook. That'd be really fun as a commander. Be a fun one to proxy up and play around with. Just get a random dragon with some egg counters on it. So very cool card there, but our opponent was stuck on mana quite a bit, and we got the most aggressive cards in the domain deck, the Neshoba Brawlers, not just one of them, but 2, to really pressure our opponent's life total. So that's going to get us our first win. That's going to get us our Dominaria United Alchemy pack. We're going to move on to deck number 2, which is the Dragon's Roost deck that we just saw. So hopefully we'll draw a little better than our opponent did there and actually get to play Darrygaz a little early. So that is one of the main alchemy cards in this deck, Darrygaz Shivan Champion. We already talked about that. Looks really fun. Little slow, but incredibly fun looking. The other alchemy cards in the deck are Darrygaz's Whelp. I have played this in draft before, and it was an absolute banger. If you can get 2 copies of this in draft, it's really good because you kick the first copy and it will tutor up the second one because it seeks a random dragon from your deck, but in draft in Dominaria United, there are not a lot of dragons. So if you only have Darrygaz's Whelps as the dragons in your deck, it's basically 2 a black and a red for a 3/2 flyer, and draw 2 mana 3/2 flyer to your hand. So was really nice in draft. Should be pretty nice in this deck as well. Just some nice card draw. It is a lot more random in here because there are a lot more dragons. So when you're seeking a dragon off of the kicker effect, you're just getting a random one. But the initial effect on this card is also a lot more impactful, allowing to give your dragons +1/+1 whenever you draw them. So pretty nice dragon tribal card there. There's also the Fearsome Whelp from Alchemy, but this is an older one. This came out in the Alchemy 22 stuff much earlier this year. But that is a classic, very good one for Alchemy. Rivaz from Dominaria United is one of the big dragon build-arounds in the set. Pretty fun one. It's a mana rock for dragons and lets you cast dragons from your graveyard. And then this deck has some pretty good interaction. 4 cut downs are incredibly efficient against small creatures. Pretty bad against the domain deck though. Dragon's Fire is pretty efficient and actually pretty solid against the domain deck. You can kill those 5/3 Nishoba Brawlers with that one. Breath Weapons to try to wipe the board of all small non-dragon creatures. And it's got a few Lilianas in here just for good measure, so that's kind of crazy. But yeah, looks like a pretty fun Dragons deck. That's what we're going to be using in round 2. Pretty perfect mana here, although it is quite slow. Luckily for us, Fearsome Whelp can really make up for that. So we're going to play a tapped land on turn 1, untapped land into Fearsome Whelp to start reducing the cost of these really expensive cards. A little scared of the Goblins deck. I don't know what's in there, but I know that it's Goblins, and Goblins tend to be a pretty quick, pretty cheap tribe of creatures. So I expect our opponent is probably on the most aggressive deck of them all. Have to assume Goblins are the fastest. Alright. Goblin Trap Finder into the Rundvelt Horde Master. Could cut down this Horde Master just to stop damage as quickly as possible. Quite badly want to get Fearsome Whelp out immediately, though this could be a little greedy. Could be a little greedy. Maybe I should just be cutting down the Horde Master, playing a tapped land this turn. But we'll see how bad it's going to be for us. Their stuff doesn't have haste. Oh no, double Horde Master? Yeah, now we're definitely going to kill one of them, but now when one of their goblins dies, they exile the top 2 cards of their library, and they can cast those till the end of their next turn. Yikes. Kind of interested in holding Takanuma in hand if possible, because I'm not going to play a 3-drop here. I am probably dying to double Horde Master, especially since they're drawing 2 cards now off me killing one. Fable of the Mirror Breaker? They put Fable of the Mirror Breaker in there? Wizards. I mean, they put Liliana in this deck, so I guess that's fair. But Fable of the Mirror Breaker is one of the strongest cards in Standard or Alchemy. Luckily for us, opponent has a stronger card in hand, the Goblin Influx Array, meaning that they just do not want to cast those, so they're just forever exiled. So they didn't actually really draw a card off of that, which is pretty good for us. Alright, I think I have to play Takanuma here, unfortunately, since I didn't draw into another land. I could play Derrygaz for only 3, but I could also play Zayatora. You may sack another creature when you do deal damage with that creature's power to any target. Yeah, get rid of the Horde Master. That seems worth it. Yeah, we have enough mana to cast every dragon in our hand now. So we'll poke for 1 and make sure we kill this next Goblin Lord. But this enchantment's going to be a problem. I don't think there's anything in this deck to blow up enchantments. This is letting them draw an additional goblin every turn, just some random goblin off the spellbook, but most of them are quite powerful. A lot of goblin lords in there giving +1/+1 to all goblins. A lot of little hasty ones. So they're playing a Squee, and Battlecry Goblin may have been what they got off the spellbook last turn. Or Fanatical Firebrand, I don't actually know. Probably Fanatical Firebrand, actually. Because Battlecry Goblin's very much just already in Alchemy. Thanks to its Battle for Baldur's Gate printing. This is tremendously bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. I think we kill this thing. Because it can conjure duplicates. I guess it conjures duplicates into their library. That's not that bad. Maybe we kill Squee, but Squee can come back later, which is a problem. All this stuff is a big deal. But the 2 power ones are the biggest. I guess I kill Squee, because every time Squee attacks, they're getting an additional 1/1. so stop them from getting 1/1s on us for a little bit. Can Zeatora do damage to face? Any target, so it can do damage to face. If I can do 12 damage here, I just win. 3, 6. Oh, perfect. I think I have exact lethal. If not, I'm probably dead next turn anyway, so I'm just going to go for it. I think I do 12 damage to them off these two, and then I have Zeatora sack the Devastator to do the final 6. Yep, alright, Zeatora the Incinerator, just incinerating our opponent's life total out of nowhere, completely flipping that game around. We were looking really dead on board, because if I just sit here and try to play defensive that turn, I'm facing a ton of goblins with an active Battlecry Goblin to give the whole board up to +3, +0 that next turn if they play a land for turn next turn. So that could have been incredibly deadly if we didn't find lethal that turn. So Zeatora really winning us the game there, giving us the treasure tokens to make sure Shivan Devastator comes out as a 6/6 flying haste, and then throwing the Shivan Devastator at their face. Really, really great stuff from Zeatora the Incinerator. Great stuff from Fearsome Whelp, reducing Zeatora's mana cost enough to get us there and getting thrown at the Goblin Lord to make sure we didn't die that exact turn. Yeah, super nice stuff. Really big comeback against probably, yeah, the fastest deck of them all. And that'll be our second Dominaria United Alchemy pack. And we'll move on to deck number 3, which is a Vehicles deck, driven to win here. See what's contained in this. Definitely the classic vehicle synergistic cards like the Surge Hacker Mech, dealing damage equal to twice the number of vehicles to something when it hits the board. Mysterious Limousines like the removal spell vehicle from Streets of New Capenna. And Astor is the vehicle synergy card from the main Dominaria United set, allowing you to look for a vehicle from the top 7 cards of your library when they enter the battlefield. As for the unique brand new alchemy cards in this deck, we have Tiana, Angelic Mechanic, a 3-mana 3/2 flyer, already a solid deal, and whenever Tiana or another legendary creature you control cruise a vehicle, that vehicle perpetually gets +1/+0. So not just till end of turn, but forever, that vehicle will have an additional power. So that's a pretty cool one. We've also got Rezug the Bone Cobbler, which I'm a massive fan of the artwork on. This is a 2-mana 1/3. Target card in your graveyard perpetually becomes an artifact, and you may cast that card this turn, or target creature card in your graveyard. Okay, so you can recast creatures from your grave. That's pretty strong. Pretty strong card there. Pretty cool one. And then another new vehicle, the Smog Belcher Chariot. I may have just not seen this yet, but I think this is new to this set. A 3-mana Menace Death Touch Lifelink vehicle. Cruise for 3 as a 3/3, and whenever it attacks target creature that crewed it this turn, perpetually gains your choice of Menace, Death Touch, or Lifelink. So you're buffing up the creatures that are crewing this vehicle while attacking your opponent with it. That's very, very cool. And then we have some other alchemy cards, like the Guardian of Angel. This has been just an absolutely devastating card in aggressive alchemy decks for a while. And then Dragonfly Pilot, which is another vehicle synergy-driven alchemy card there. So pretty cool looking deck, as they all are here. And let's see if we can just roll over our opponents with our vehicles. All right, here we are with the vehicles deck now. Opponents on the play, not a big fan of that, and I only have 2 creatures, but got all my mana thanks to the Forsaken Crossroads, so I think I'm just going to roll with this. We've got every color of mana, and we have decent interaction with Cast Down, and Eater of Virtue to make sure we're getting a lot of damage out quickly. We did draw into a Tiana, that's a pretty great one. How does this enter untapped? If you weren't the starting player, you may untap this instead. Okay, I will do that, I think. So we go black, and I'll choose to untap it rather than scry, so I can get this equipment out immediately, and then I can curve out efficiently. I play Eater of Virtue on 1, Evangel on 2, Tiana on 3. Tiny bit sad not to be able to hold on to the Evangel until I'm conjuring up a bunch of nonsense. into my hand and casting a bunch of extra creatures, but I would rather just play my highest power creatures immediately this game. Try to put as much damage into my opponent's face as possible. We are against the Jund Dragons deck. So as we saw with our win with that deck can do some absolutely explosive things. So it can be very threatening. So we're going to try to close out the game again as quickly as possible. They could have a cut down here, that'd be pretty bad for us. They killed Tiana. But that means they'll take 3 from the Evangel then if they plan to kill Tiana. It's like they are not going to cast a cut down if they do have one. Breath Weapon, nasty there. 2 for 1 kill both of our creatures. Dragonfly Pilot is a good card to draw here because it's going to get us a little bit more value, help us get back in this game by drawing an additional card here of a Dragonfly Suit. I could cast that, but I could also cast Rezug to hope to start recasting my creatures from grave, which is probably the play. I am running into a cut down here, but there's no way they're going to cut down my 1/1 anyway. Okay. They cut down my 1/1. I'll absolutely take it. Problem there is that means they probably have removal for Rezug as well. Alright, here comes Darrygaz's Whelp. Kicked for only 3 mana thanks to the Fearsome Whelp. And they just have double cut down. Yeah. We're not going to get anywhere if they can just remove all of our threats here. Oh, now I've got a double Dragonfly Suit in the hand. Call that Double Dragon. I could cut down this Fearsome Whelp, but at this point it's given them so much cost reduction, I think I'd rather just kill whatever they play off of it. The problem is if that card's legendary, my cast down won't kill it at all. So hopefully it's not a big legend. Yeah, they're definitely at the point now that they could cast like any dragon in that deck. So they are looking like they just don't have a really big one here. Yeah, they just have removal in small dragons, it looks like. So yeah, I don't think, especially now that they have 2 whelps, there's not much point in blowing up one of them. Rather blow up the Darrygaz here with the Mysterious Limousine. No, I think I'm going to cast another Dragonfly Suit and use the cast down on Darrygaz's Whelp. And I'd like to do it before they draw a card. So if that card's a dragon, it doesn't get +1/+1. And now I have Mysterious Limousine, which can also kill legendary dragons, since the cast down can't kill legendary dragons. Is it more removal here? It's not ideal. It is more removal, that's all. That's 3 cut downs. I don't remember if that deck's running 3 or 4. I was about to say that's all the cut downs, but I'm not actually certain on that. I could play a store, but then I'm not blocking anything in the sky here. I'm probably at the point I have to just limousine the Whelp. So I'm only taking 1 a turn. Preferably. We just need our opponent to draw dead here. No reason not to attack. I know I can crew the limousine on blocks, but every single creature in the Dragon's deck is going to be flying. Well, there's a Darrygaz the turn I used my limousine, but the really cool thing about the limousine is I can trade what I'm exiling with it. So when it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 other creature. So I can crew this and attack with this and choose to exile Darrygaz now and give them back the Fearsome Whelp, which is theoretically solid here, but since I don't have any other flying blockers anyway, I am going to take 3 damage on the next attack and probably still losing this game. But this is where the flexibility of the limousine comes in pretty handy. I should probably use a store pre-combat, just in case. Surge Hacker mech's huge. Another Mysterious Limousine is also great. I think I'd rather just have Surge Hacker Mech and permanently kill one of the 2/2s. Although the Chariot, getting lifelink. It doesn't have haste though. But getting lifelink is massive here too. The lack of haste is rough. Because I don't have the mana to play it this turn. I think I have to just take Surge Hacker Mech, which is really sad. Because I need something that's just going to immediately impact things next turn. And there is no reason not to start slapping the Eater Virtue here. Get this extra damage. So if I can survive next turn, I might even just find lethal against my opponent. So let's see if our opponent draws poorly here. We do have 10 damage on board, so they're going to have to block with these whelps. At least one of them. It's another whelp! That only puts us to 1. That keeps us alive if they attack with all, and then we just kill them on the crackback. So they have to hold at least 1 back on blocks. They have to hold 2 back because of Surge Hacker Mech. Yeah, so they're going to hold all 3. We've got a big shot here. Let's scry with this Crossroads. What color do we actually need? 1, 2, 3 white, 1, 2, 3 black, 2 red. We'll get a 3rd red. Scry into another Surge Hacker Mech. That's huge. Obviously play that, kill the biggest whelp. Crew this Limousine. I will not exile anything on the attack. And pass turn. Here's our opponent's final turn. Draw an out. Their face down card does come out next turn if we don't kill them next turn, but I think this is the kind of thing where they're going to kill us this turn or we're going to kill them this turn. Alright, now we Surge Hacker Mech and we just kill them. And they scoop them up. We didn't even need to Surge Hacker Mech there technically, I think, because we could have crewed our Menace creature and equipped it with the Eater Virtue. We can only attack with 2 creatures here because I only have 2 creatures, so I can't crew both these vehicles and attack with 3 things. But yeah, I actually didn't need to play the mech, but it was safe to do so that we kill that and then we still get to attack with the Menace creature with the equipment on it and the Astor in case something bad happens. But yeah, that was pretty sweet. Another big comeback game. These games have actually been pretty sweet. They've been really close. Kind of back and forth stuff. I didn't think we were getting anywhere there with all the removal our opponent drew early game, but because they drew all their removal early game, it just meant they didn't draw much threats. And so we didn't need too much interaction late game to get back in the game and turn things around. So really nice one there, and that's going to give us our final Dominaria United Alchemy prize pack. But we've got one more deck to play, one more deck to win with, and it is the Goblin deck. Not us, not today. This is a very traditional Goblin tribal deck here. It's got 4 Runevelt Hordemaster, the new Goblin Lord from Dominaria United, which is a pretty sweet one because it only costs 2 mana. Most Goblin Lords cost 3, but for only 2 mana, you're giving all your Goblins +1/+1, and when your Goblins die, you're exiling the top card of your library, being able to cast that during your next turn, so it gives you some card advantage as well. It's got 2 Fable of the Mirror Breaker, one of the strongest cards ever printed in red, in my opinion. A really, really powerful saga here. Really flexible, just does a lot of work. There's a Triple Squee, which is a really fun one, spitting out a ton of goblins as it's attacking. For the new alchemy cards, there's actually a lot in this one. There's the Coalition Construct, which is a lord for whatever creature type you choose. So in this deck, it's obviously going to be a Goblin Lord. So 3 mana for a 2/2 Goblin that when it enters the battlefield, goblins you control and goblins in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. The Goblin Morale Sergeant is another new one. You get to enlist your creatures into this, and when you do, you conjure duplicates of the creatures that you've enlisted into your library in the top 5 cards at random, and the duplicate gets +1/+0 in haste. So if you enlist a Battlecry Goblin onto your Goblin Morale Sergeant, all of a sudden, somewhere in the top 5 cards of your library is a 2-mana 3/2 hasting Battlecry Goblin. So really cool card, pretty fun ability there. And then the Goblin Influx Array is your kind of card draw engine from the new alchemy cards, allowing you to cast your goblins for 1 red less mana, which could be a pretty ridiculous combo piece, potentially, because if your goblins cost 1 red less, all of your 1 mana goblins are literally free. All of your goblins that cost a single red, and if you have this out and a Goblin War Chief out, making your goblins cost 1 colorless less, then cards like Battlecry Goblin also cost 0 mana. So there's probably some cheeky stuff you can do with the cost reduction ability, but for the most part, for a regular, just traditional Goblin deck here, the biggest part of this card is being able to draw a random Goblin every single turn, making sure you don't run out. So, pretty cool stuff in the deck. Pretty basic Goblin, tribal, nice aggressive deck here. See if we can just be 4 for 4. 4-0 in today's event. All right, we're on the play, which is something we definitely appreciate in an aggressive strategy. Probably going to have to play the Sokenzen, because we've only got 2 lands here, but I'm going to keep the hand. If we hit a single land, we can play everything, because we can cycle the Twin Shot Sniper as removal. We don't necessarily need 4 mana. All right, now we definitely need to hit 1 more land here to be happy, because now I have 2 3-drops. That being said, they are legendary, so we can't cast both of them. So the Goblin Trap Finders here, they just seek a random cheap card, a cheap creature to our hand, give it haste, make it cost 2 less, and sack at the end step. So they give us a little bit back when they die, give us a little sacrificial goblin card. Dairy Gaz's Whelp. I want to blow that up immediately, so the dragons my opponent draws don't perpetually get +1/+1, but I have 2 Squeeze here. So I'm actually just going to play Squee, get really aggressive, and if Squee trades into this Dairy Gaz's Whelp, I'm 100% okay with that. I think that's just good for me, because I already want the Whelp to die to stop their other dragons from getting bigger, and with an additional Squee in hand, I can't play the other one until the first one dies. Unfortunately, they don't take the trade there. It is weird. It is weird to be like, oh no, my Squee didn't trade, but yeah, I want my legendary goblin producing card to trade off into just the little 2/1 flyer. I want it to die. Kind of a strange position to be in, but it happens. Ooh, Twin Shot Sniper's great here. Love hitting that 4th land. Now we get to still add more cards to the board while killing Dairy Gaz's Whelp at the same time. So that should be really good for us. And they did kill our Squee, so we do get to cast the other Squee next turn. Pretty sweet stuff. I could also play Squee this turn and Strangle, but because Squee has haste, I don't need to play Squee until the turn I'm attacking with Squee. So now next turn I get to play Squee and Strangle whatever blocker they play, if it's small enough. They are the Dragon's deck with 4 mana up, so could be bigger. All right, they do not play anything. Let's see if I can just drop Squee and slam in. So their hand is probably a bunch of 5 mana dragons, because they only have 4 mana up and they couldn't cast anything. All right, still got the removal though, which is unfortunate for us. We don't get to just immediately kill them here. They have 5 mana up, they're at 6 life. They do get to play a Dairy Gaz, so we're going to have to hope that one of our 2 power greater creatures hits this Dairy Gaz, so that Strangle can finish it off. I think having more haste creatures in my top 5 cards in library is pretty good here. I guess whatever I enlist to the Goblin Morale Sergeant, they're going to have to block Goblin Morale Sergeant here. So I think I actually enlist a 1/1. Because then I'm getting in for 4 damage, right? And killing Derrygaz, because they're just going to block the Goblin Morale Sergeant. Yep. So they're down to 2, and because they blocked Goblin Morale Sergeant, we get to kill Derrygaz. This also puts us 1 card away from escaping the squeeze. We need 4 other cards engraved to recast Squee. We currently have 4 cards engraved total. So if 1 more card dies, we can escape Squee. So far, it looks like they're just dead on board, and they are. Just outrace the dragon deck there with the really nice cheap curve, the efficient creatures, the very aggressive cards in the Goblin strategy, and that's going to be 4-0 in the Into the Future events. Gotta win with each deck. I think they're all pretty cool, pretty fun decks. I'm not much of an Alchemy Constructed player myself, because I'm not much of a Constructed player, period, but I think these decks were pretty fun, somewhat evenly matched here. So a cool event, and it's definitely nice when the event is completely free and you get some bonus packs out of it. So before I leave for today, let's open up some Dominaria United Alchemy packs. These are the 3 packs from the Into the Future event, the 3 packs from the code PLAYDMUA, and 4 packs from my Dominaria United Alchemy Premier Draft or something. I don't actually know how I have 10. I guess it was from the Premier Draft. I don't think you get 4 for that, though. But maybe. I don't know. So let's just bust open a bunch of these packs all at once. Check out what all our rares are. Ooh, double Slimefoot is really cool. That's going to be a really fun one to try to build a Brawl deck around. I think I am going to do that because I can't resist. I mean, Slimefoot, come on. And it's a landfall commander. You got to just keep playing Swamps and Forests to keep drafting Fungus from the spellbook. So that's just a really cool one, because Slimefoot's such a ridiculous card draw engine as you're playing Swamps and Forests that you don't really need to play a lot of win conditions in the deck, because Slimefoot digs for those. Slimefoot digs for the win conditions of like Verdant Force and Verdant Embrace and stuff. So pretty fun commander, looks like. Teferi's Contingency, very constructed-oriented card. Vidalian Time Mage is insane with, like, trampling creatures. I had an opponent that had a Vidalian Time Mage and a Force of Vigor that was terrifying, because then it would trample over and hit you, put a copy into their hand. So, some interesting alchemy cards here for sure. Some nice rewards, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed recording it. And if you want to see some more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. We're going to be playing a bunch of draft upcoming. We're going to be playing more Dominaria United Alchemy drafts. We then have Streets of New Capenna rebalanced drafts next week, where they actually did go through and change a lot of the commons and uncommons to make some of them a little stronger, some of them a little weaker. So that'll be interesting. The week after that, we have Throne of Eldraine Premier drafts. And the week after that, I'll be playing a couple Crimson Vow quick drafts. So I think that's most of what's on the horizon this month. And at the start of November or mid-November, sometime in November, there's another limited arena open. That's the original Dominaria set. So that's going to be really cool. Original Dominaria sealed day 1 and sealed day 2. So I'll definitely be playing that and doing my best to day 2 that event, as I have for every other limited events this year. So that's everything on the horizon. Other than that, as always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.